Hi, in this video I will show you how you can easily define parameters or session variables that should change whenever another session variable changes. Whenever a session variable changes, we can either update a parameter or a session variable. Now, in order to demonstrate this, let me first show you the DataMiner help where you can find this information. Under basic DataMiner functionality and Visio drawings, you will see that we have a section working with session variables. On here, there are two options, either a link to update parameters whenever a session variable changes, or update another session variable. Let me first show you the first use case. As you can see, we use the execute shape data field. You might remember this shape data field when you used it for setting a specific parameter or making a button shape on your Visio. Now, the only difference is that we use this execute shape data field on a page level, and we use the set trigger equals value changed option. Now, a very useful option that is often used in combination with this above execute is the execute sets on init. This will trigger the set each time a user opens the card. Now, in order to show this to you, I have created a very simple element that will trigger a parameter set whenever the user enters the Visio. This can be very useful for application, for giving statistics how much times the application was visited. So we open the Visio, and as you can see, we see the Visio card access count was 1. This means that the execute set was already triggered once. Now, if we close the card and we reopen it, you will see that the execute is triggered again and that the value is again incremented. Now in Visio, this is very simple and just uses the syntax that I just explained in the DataMiner help. So let me show that to you. We have on the page level, we have two shape data fields. The execute that will just on this element set a specific parameter to increment the Visio card access count. We want this every time that the Visio is reached, so we add the option on the page execute sets on init. Now the second use case is updating a session variable whenever another session variable changes. So let's look in the help how this is visualized. Now we also use the execute shape data on a page level, but now some different information is in the value of the shape data fields. Now we define first the scope of the session variable, then the session variable that has to be updated, and then the new value. We also have the execute sets on init option on this page level, but now I will just show you a use case where we don't need the execute sets on init. On this element, I have a combo box created with just the names of the available racks on the system. Now, I have another session variable called myOtherRack, which contains just dummy text. Whenever I change the dropdown, I will update a session variable called selectedRack. This session variable will also trigger an update on my other rack, as you will see. So let me show that in the Visio. I defined a combo box created by using the DataMiner IDP rack layout element, where I fetch all the available racks from the system. The display key and the set column are the parameter 3002, which is the display key and the name of the rack. So as you can see, I will set the variable called selected rack. I have initialized my other rack session variable with just dummy text, and on this execute shape data I will just add something like this. So I set my variable, my other rack, with the string updated dot and then the name of the rack that was selected. So let me copy this, enter it in the shape data field, save the page, and let's see what happens. We select another rack, for example this one, and you will see that automatically my session variable is changed with updated dot and then the name of the rack. Now, for a more useful use case, we could not only update my other rack, but you can also make a more complex regex. And let me show you that. So on this execute shape data field, I have now something like this. I have two sets that will be triggered whenever my session variable selected rack changes. The first one is called lock name, that will get the new value that comes out of this regex replace. And what it does, this regex replace, it uses the selected rack as an input, applies this regex to it, and uses the groups found on the regex. And it comes down to just take the string before the first slash happens. For the building name, the same applies, but then for the second slash. Now, if I use this syntax, you will see that whenever I change my dropdown, that automatically the session variable is changed. You can get it even further by using the regex replace within the Visio itself. So now we use the lock name and the building name session variables within another regex replace that we just visualize like this. What it does is it takes the first 10 characters, and then if it sees that it's longer, it takes the first 10 characters and puts 3 dots after it. Of course, if it's shorter than 10 characters, then it shows the regular string. Let me show you that. So as you can see, lock HQ contains 6 characters, including the space. So there's no problem. If you now have the building, which contains more characters, it will just append 3 dots. In this video, I showed you how you can easily update session variables or parameters whenever another session variable changes.